What are we doing today, Marcos? We're banging it out, my man.
Yeah, man, we are. We're gonna take a step into kind of curating and crafting a nutrition plan, and this was based off of a challenge that I proposed at the end of last episode using AI. So we'll share the screen. We'll get to presenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it'll be this one here. Bada bing, bada boom.
Okay, cool.
Give us a nut. Whoopsie.
Give us a wait.
Give us a nutrition avatar that we are going to create a plan for. All right, cool. So we're using an avatar. It's just going to give us some sort of something.
Oh, Chris Davis, 40 years old, 5'10", 210-pound male, 185-pound goal weight. Works a desk job 8 to 9 hours, minimal exercise, spends time in evenings watching TV or using the computer, enjoys a mix of home cooked meals, take out 2 to 3 times per week. Primary diet consists of sandwiches, lunches. Also, sorry, that like it's a little small for me now, but also wants to weight cut, reduce risk, more energetic, looking to improve overall fitness, stamina, trends to have healthier choices are limited, struggles with portion control and mindfulness. All right, snacking between. Okay, cool.
Medical considerations, motivations, challenges, blah. All right, cool. Yeah, I guess Chris Davis, this 40-year-old. Well, did it say he was a dad?
I know. I didn't say that.
Family history. Do we know any details of his family?
Do we know more details of his family? Yeah. Hey, Marcos, could I also ask on the top left corner there if you can close out the other prompts on the top left, if that's okay? Higher? Yeah, that one. Perfect. That way we get a full screen here. Yeah, does he have a family? Does he have kids? Does he have a damn dog? Does he even have a lizard? Maybe he likes snakes. Is that there's a family history of type 2 other days, no other family such as number of family members, marital status, children, or body fam were specified in the avatar description. Okay, create some. Yeah, get some kids in there, dude. What the fuck? Like, this is not like the Sims calculator or the Sims games where you're just like, have the perfect life and you have a mansion and there's no kids. All right, we're trying to get the kids.
Marital status. Okay, married to Taylor Davis, who works as a school teacher, 2 children, 10-year-old active in soccer. Sounds like my son. All right. Father recently diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, managing it with diet and medication. All right, cool. So everybody here can.
This is a real client.
Younger brother in another city, no children. Wow. All right. God, this is very detailed. Thank you, ChatGPT 01. So, Seamus, I had been doing some research on how to like prompt things better. Okay, like let's just say we got all this information, whether it was from a nutritional intake or if it was from something, of a conversation, and then we kind of like we're gonna go in and prompt like what this would look like.
Yeah.
So based off of, and I didn't cheat. I didn't ask GPT on how to do this, but I did pin something that I found, and I was like, let me give this a try. And I've actually ran it a few times, and I found it quite interesting.
Yeah, why don't you run that as well? I mean, this is an education for me. I know we're supposed to do a challenge of like, which one's better? I'm just like, at this point,
let's just work it together.
Just work it together. But I do want to just say, the reason, guys, like we prompted this. If you're watching the video and listening to it, we prompted this ChatGPT to give us more of a realistic thing. A 40-year-old male, usually, especially with type 2 diabetes, 2 kids, one's at soccer with a family. Dad recently, had passed or whatever. This is real patients, Marcos. Like for the people listening, like these are people that are patients, clients that we deal with, and are coming to us where they're like, Seamus, I'm struggling with my overweightness. I have to get a lot of information about this person to give them anything to work off of. Because here's the thing. We're going to give somebody a meal plan, an exercise plan, Marcos, right? Get the right macros. You can have the perfect freaking plan. But let's just be real. Who wants to even approach that plan if there's too much chaos in their life? And like we weren't privy to that, right? That's why you got to get to know someone. I feel like I don't know how many hours it is, Marcos, but it's probably only maybe the first 6 weeks to 12 weeks of like the hours of getting to know someone on coaching calls, text that I'm like, oh, okay, we're finally starting to understand what we need to do with this person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you kind of went into a lot of detail there. um, so basically the first paragraph, to like get more effective prompts based off of the suggestion with really any model, but I think this model especially, is to have a goal statement. So like I want to create is like kind of, or the goal that we wish to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even state that it's the goal, but our core focus is going to be nutrition and lifestyle intervention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right? Perfect. Fun fact, if you hold shift and enter, you can actually go to the next paragraph, like line break. Seamus, I didn't know if you knew that.
Oh, I knew that. I
Okay.
I honestly I hate it in Teams because I have like so much in Teams that I want to type down. Then I hit enter, and I'm like, damn it, I have to hit
Fudge.
edit. Then I have to go in there, and then that's how I learned that shift enter.
So first paragraph is goal. And what is the team shortcut for that? Is it still shift enter or is it
Yeah,
control?
I just do shift enter.
Okay,
That's
cool.
what
I,
works for
I think
me.
if you hit, I always usually hit the little whatever, the little editing icon so that it doesn't send. I have to like click the arrow. I think that works there.
Mm,
Fun
mm.
fact. Yeah, we're teaching people how to be better with their team, with their gerb. Okay, so first thing is goal. Next is going to be the return format, right? How do we want
Okay.
this information to be displayed, right? So, how should we have this? It's like I want this to be formatted in a way that would be broken down in a PDF and an
Mm-hmm.
email. The plan should have clear sections.
And be cohesive and like cohesive to action.
Be cohesive to action based on the client avatar. Okay.
Where'd you learn this, by the way? Where'd you learn these like prompting things? Because I just talk into the thing.
Um. Yeah. I don't know, dude. It showed up on my explore page after we were talking about it. Dun dun dun.
Oh, somebody was listening. The prompt Metheus.
Yeah. Right. So I want this to be formatted in a way that can be broken down in PDF and email. Plan should have clear sections, be cohesive. Client avatar. We also want to set clear expectations in terms of timeline for the avatar, right? I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. But also be
Based.
privy to their lifestyle constraints.
All right, cool. So that sounds good enough, kind of like the gist of it. Hopefully this will be like, again, like almost one thing's enough. Granted, we put a lot of like detail into how we want things to be like formatted. And I think that if people are, again, if you're building your own goal or your own plan using some sort of tool, the more details you can give about like the goal, how you want it returned, how you want it pieced together, I think that's the biggest thing. The next part would be a warning. Like, are there any warnings that we should talk about here? Like, be careful of what kind of pitfalls.
Be careful of biasing just for medical intervention, just because this person has type 2 diabetes in their family history. Understand that this is a relatively healthy adult, and don't just bias. Yeah, so like don't perpetuate that bias.
As a relatively healthy adult. I can't spell relatively. Related. I wasn't even close. Oh, it's because this is a relatively healthy adult.
What else do you think would be something we should the model should be careful of?
And don't factor in outside parameters of his family that he cannot control.
There you go.
Based on location. So, okay, cool. So it's like goal, return what we want, kind of formatting of that, right? The warning. And then the last thing is actually going to be, do we have any specific examples or context? Like for context, right? You've done some other plans in here. It's like for context, I want to focus on clear expectations for every month to reach the goal. Talk about the best case scenario.
Yep, that's a good point. And
the likely scenario.
The likely, yep, there you go. And what to do on your worst day scenario. I love that. That's great.
All right, cool. I mean, I think that's pretty comprehensive. We could put more context
that's
in
fucking,
there.
Bro, holy cow. Like that right there, the formatting, what is it? So the formatting is goal,
how you want it returned,
formatting,
things to be careful of, knowing maybe the biases of the engine you're using or how you've been using the model. And then again, the context of like the clear expectations and things. I mean, and the more that you can kind of put in there, the better it will be. But that we're just going to do that for, sake of time. All right, cool.
Perfect. Let's see what it says. So Marcus, you're going to probably, it's reasoning right now. Oh, sheesh.
So crafting a comprehensive plan is what it's doing there.
Would you mind zooming in if that's cool? Just one
I think
tidbit.
Hold on. Control plus. Nope. Command. Windows plus. Yeah, there we go.
There you go. All right. Responded for 12 seconds or reason for 12. I'm working on a structured macro plan. A nutrition strategy for a 40-year-old male aiming to reduce weight from 210 to 185. The plan includes meal ideas, portion sizes, and training suggestions across different scenarios.
Maintaining balanced guidance. Crafting the plan. PDF structured plan covering introduction, goals, macro plan, meal suggestions, lifestyle, monthly scenarios to ensure balanced and clear guidance for his wellness journey. Here's the example. All right. Seamus. Intro.
All right. I'll do the intro. Chris Davis is a 40-year-old relatively healthy adult who currently weighs 210 at 5'10". His primary goal is to lose 25 pounds over a sustainable timeline while maintaining energy levels and managing mild hypertension. He has a busy schedule, including a full-time desk job and a family with active children. So this plan focuses on efficiency, consistency, and realistic progress milestones. I'll let you do the goals and timeline.
Goals and timelines. So obviously the main goal, the driver here, 25 pounds being lost from 210 down to 185. And the timeline approximately 3 to 6 months, depending on the adherence and the body response. Do you agree with that? I mean, I feel like that's a very realistic thing. Because again, to 25 pounds, that'd be like a 10-week journey at like the optimized 1% of body weight loss per week, right? Which would be 10 weeks. So we're kind of hedging into that. So again,
I agree with that. And, sometimes with people, depending on their psychological profile, like they may just hit the ground running, right? They get a burst and then they slow down. So they might do 10 in the first month. That just happens sometimes. And then they'll do the last 15 in the last 4 months. So I'm like, all right, cool. We have a lot of room to zig and zag. So
yeah. Primary focus. So balance macros with enough protein to preserve lean muscle, portion control, practical meal prep, gradual incorporation of exercise to support fat loss, heart health, and improving stamina. And then the milestone overview. I think this is actually kind of nice. All right, cool.
That's great, actually. I love that. If someone saw that.
Yeah, month 1, build foundational habits and expect 4 to 6 pounds of loss in a typical scenario. I mean, again, that'd be like 2% of body weight up to 3. Again, that's again being more on the foundational habit side. And I would have to agree, like maybe we haven't gotten to we'll zoom up a little bit. We haven't gotten to like the actual recommendations, but that could be dictated. Again, we know sedentary outcomes. We know that, in a typical scenario, just cleaning the food up as a whole and then seeing what would happen. And again, it hasn't talked about what the foundational habits are, so we'll have to see if it gets into that. But our goal is
Yeah.
to have like one prompt and see how much it covered and what's missing by the end of it, so we can talk about that and things that you might need to kind of go back in and place in there, even if it's
Yeah.
you doing it, you know.
Massaging it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Month 2, refine the meal plan, increase activity, another 3 to 5 pounds of loss. All right. Three plus consistency, steady weight loss of approximately 1 to 1.5 pounds per week. So about 0.5% of body weight, which again is a very mild deficit. Best case scenario, you may see faster results if you're highly consistent. Worst case scenario, focus on damage control and getting back on track rather than giving up.
Oh,
No. Oh,
thank you
okay.
for letting that. Thank you, ChatGPT, because
It's
that's
like,
so true, dude. Yeah, people like don't see this don't see the progress and they're like, fuck it, you know? So it's like, no, we're here to help you out. All right, macro recommendations. Let's see what happens here. So below is a starting point for daily macro targets based on roughly 2,000 to 2,100 kcals per day, which should create a moderate calorie deficit for weight loss, adjust as needed based on results or personal preference. Protein, 30%, roughly 150 to 160 per day, helps preserve muscle mass and maintain satiety. I agree with that. Carbohydrates, 30 to 40%, so 175 to 210. That's almost a 1-to-1 ratio or 0.91 ratio. Focus on complex carbs for longer lasting energy, whole grains, oats, legumes, cool. Fats, 30 to 35%, 67 to 78 grams per day, which is roughly where I'd put it. Emphasize on healthy fats from avocados, nuts, seeds, oils. Notes, for mild hypertension, keep an eye on sodium, but there's no need for overly strict interventions. Simply avoid very high sodium processed foods when possible. I like this. I'd say it's a balanced macros. That's what my models have been focused on, Marcos. So like you could see that perpetuate in the bias there.
yeah.
But I starting there wouldn't be so hard because sometimes like let's just talk about protein for a second. You throw 150 grams of protein at any male that hasn't been training, that necessarily isn't eating right, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be like, gosh, 150 is hard, you know? So hitting 1 gram per pound of goal weight or 1 pound of like normal weight is going to be hard for this gentleman. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. And I think, hold on, I moved it to the other screen and it screwed it up. I think, again, here, this would assume you're going right into the deficit, and I don't always coach that way. So
Okay.
this is where, again, if you want to maximize kind of an initial response, I feel like yes, but at the same time, like anecdotally, like I like to kind of maybe go and actually be like, let's just clean things up at like probably maintenance. So it's like, okay,
Maintenance, yeah.
let's just say that this was the suggested number. We don't even know how it got here. I know you've trained information here to be kind of using particular um, formulas, but it didn't go. I don't know if it pulled from that, right? Like I'd have to ask that question, but we
Yeah.
we can. So like again, what questions are we building here as we're going through it? Hey, how did you get to this recommended total based off of the body weight? They basically maybe just use like times 10 body weight for total
Yeah.
calories. And that again, I forget where like a 10x one is. That's like I think like that's like actually moderately aggressive for most
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah. 10 to 13, something like that.
Yeah, and again, like he is sedentary, so they'll be like, okay, maybe you can go on the low end, but like, dude, like that could be miserable existence for someone, and they look like, that first month is just like, nah, fam, like I'm out. You know what I mean? Like
No,
how?
it's so funny you say this because I do agree. Like, I get someone to like this calories here. What I notice sometimes is I'm actually like reversing people into maintenance for them to like understand, like, hey, you're still in a deficit, even though I'm increasing your calories, like,
Right?
because you're just so much more aware of like movement, maybe, or like food consistency, as opposed to
Yeah,
going the whole day, being busy, and then eating 4,000 calories at once and you didn't know you did. That's
yeah,
just an example.
and as a coach, I feel like the number one thing people need to do is focus on getting an adequate amount of like calories and protein kind of figured out before they build a deficit. Ultimately the deficit's going to come, but what the initial set point is really meant to do is give you understanding of like the portioning and how much is going on the plate, and it should not feel like it's restricted at first, and then you can create a little bit of that kind of deficit. I would prefer having people come to me saying feels like a lot of food on my plate and my weight hasn't moved, and then give them that, like, again, the challenge of a deficit versus it being like, god, this sucks from day one, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, 100%. I agree, Marcus. I think that's a great starting point. You got to look into the psychology of the person too. You can't just do math. I think this is where most folks don't understand macros, especially transformation coaches that I've seen that are younger in the game. I was that coach, so I can say this, but I thought numbers were everything and then realized, oh, dummy, there's a lot of behaviors that go into this. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of responses. And yeah, they may be hitting those numbers in portions or whatever, but they never actually hit their goal. Which one do you want? You want them to hit their numbers or do you want them to hit their goals, Seamus?
Good question. I don't know. And I do like the note there about the sodium. Again, I feel like there might be a little bit of like, I don't know, again, how good the DASH diet really is for hypertension. I guess if someone is a sedentary individual, yes, be mindful of sodium content. But again, it seems more commonly that people that seek us out are generally getting back into their fitness grind. So it's a
Yeah,
little less concerning. And again, what came first, the high blood pressure because of the salt, or the high blood pressure due to the being overweight and not having any conditioning, right?
honestly, right?
You know,
I honestly, I go to the latter. Like I there was a very hefty, uh, very almost like tone deaf post that our producer Rachel shared on our chat. It was about PCOS and all that, and that was the same concept there. It was like, did the PCOS come first, or was it due to the fact that you
yeah.
had increased your calories over a long time frame? The guy was being a dick about it and wasn't being very like was a guy. First off, it's not a
Mm-hmm.
woman, but like sometimes there are issues that perpetuate from just being in such a big energy surplus that that aggravated said medical condition.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we don't live with those conditions personally, so we don't know how we would respond. And of course, we want to be able to help more people with said conditions. And we don't claim to have all the answers for those particular cases,
Yeah,
but we can definitely empathize a little bit, and try to be like, okay, like, but can we do this stuff? And I know that when stress is managed and food is done, the framework can be adhered to, activity gets better. People that do have those conditions tend to, again, maybe create some, we'll call it remission in a sense, right? The symptoms tend to not be as prevalent, and the surges of particular issues with it tend to go down, right? And
yeah,
that's what I'm looking for. Like, I would much rather, again, not give someone that has, again, that's why the medical conditions are listed here for this particular case. And again, hypertension, there is familial hypertension, right? Like, there is just like people that do have it genetically, and it's
yeah.
a little bit over. And again, I mean, can it be managed with some additional medications? Again, this is where, maybe consult with the doctor. Good thing we know a few.
Yeah, more in the integrative healthcare space too. Some doctors only give you 7 minutes.
Mm,
Talk with someone that's a little bit
functional,
precision, yeah,
little precision,
functional.
functional
Yeah,
precision medicine. Yeah.
yeah.
So then it goes and breaks down breakfast, lunch, mid morning snack if needed, afternoon snack, all that stuff, right? I agree. I mean, this is a very kind of generic kind of one.
This is protein centric. A vegetable, a carbohydrate,
It's
low glycemic fruits, veggies. I like it.
yeah, portioning tip, plate method, quarter of the plate protein, quarter carb, half the plate fruits and veg. All right, cool. Again, we can use the hand method, so maybe we would probably put that there as our tweak. It's why I mean, every time I generate a plan for somebody, I do the PN one and then kind of do my like kind of weaving back and forth in
Yeah.
between, like, hey, this is what they gave me, here's what the calculator came up with for just
Mhm.
maintenance, and then from there, like, okay, this is where I was thinking, and kind of running calculations in my head of like,
Yeah.
I like kind of shooting in the middle, like, here's the
Same.
maintenance that's kind of calculated there. And I do a maintenance based off of like low activity and low like lifting,
Yeah.
just because I feel like sometimes we'll give ourselves more credit than we actually deserve with training. And then I'm like, all right, cool. And then it's all about the feedback, right?
Yeah,
So
feedback. You got to get a response. I love that, and I want to just pause there for a second on like the PN method of the hand portions, the plate method, and like portions. Those methods are one way of eating that are modifying the amount of food you eat, right? And those are really great ways. I've coached all of them, and they all work actually in synchronicity because, like, for example, the PN method showcases a plate with the hand portions, but it actually gives you the equivalence in your macros and in your thing. So you can be as stringent as you want or as tight as you want, right? And I believe that some personalities are going to like numbers. They need that precision, right? And then here's the thing though. I know with those people that are almost that perfectionist mindset, I'm like, well, what do you do when you go out? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even try to track. They just go completely the opposite way. So it's like that personality I bring into the middle. And then the people that are in the middle, they do a great job with the hand portions, for example, and they know what to do when they go out. But then when I'm like, hey, let's really push you now, I start teaching on the macros. So it's a spectrum that I go back and forth in between. And I love those methods. There's so many ways to skin this cat of success with food portions, but I love being able to go back and forth with that portion, macros, tracking and
Yeah,
weighing and measuring. There's a lot of success there.
I love it. I mean, I love people being able to kind of choose their own adventure amidst what I'm doing with them, even though I know that like I have my biases with like data, but ultimately
Yeah.
I gotta illuminate a few different paths, right? Um,
Yeah.
so again, I thought I would do a little bit better, but again, what can I expect in terms of all the creation? I tried to ask a lot of the model.
And I don't know if that model, that specific chat we did, is taking from like because I stick in one chat like all the books and stuff like that. But
Uh,
I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe
it
it
does
isn't.
know
But
your name because I've asked it to create some stuff for me, and it was like it's like
hey, Seamus.
Seamus health coach, like at the end, signing off here.
Maybe I need to give it some textbooks or something and more books. I don't know, or ask it better. Maybe I just need to ask it better. I don't need to give it more
I did
information.
well. We didn't specify the like what plan to kind of utilize. Like, I want this to be formatted in a way. I want to like again, like I wanted to use like a hand portioning guide from Precision Nutrition, right?
Yeah,
Again, we kind of kept it broad stroke. So what can we expect?
I mean, for a broad stroke, dude.
I
If I
mean,
had to coach someone off this, they're gonna get results. That guy's losing 25 pounds.
for sure. I mean, again, but also with a human touch, right?
Hell
Um,
yeah.
Shameless plug for Seamus and myself. We're taking clients always. Because we just want to help more people. Again, we'll always find time for people. It's what we love to do. Exercise frequency is the next component here, right? So aim for at least 3 sessions per week, gradually increasing to 4 to 5. I mean, while I love training 5, 6, 7 days a week, this guy 3 might be the most realistic. I mean, this is where I would probably say our goal is to start with like 2 and build up to 3 and then see if more sessions are possible, right?
Yeah, I agree. I literally it's for some people I've been starting at 1 and 2,
Yeah,
and
just get
that
something.
doesn't that I'm gonna be honest with you, it may not even have to do with their schedule because I've coached guys that are free, right? They're free to
Mm-hmm.
train. They got the time. But I think they have this immunity to change just because they may be overwhelmed by everything happening in their life. And it's almost like a perfectionist mindset. If they do like 3, it's like just too much, but like 1 or 2 somehow works. And it's been working fine. They're losing weight, they're doing things, and it's really changed my perspective and
Yeah.
bias on training, thinking like, oh, I always need to do something. Like, dude, you could get a lot of results from just stimulating 1 to 2 times. Like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think because it's talking about like the cardio in place of some of those like 4 or 5 sessions, and I, again, like those longer walks, like I do like kind of time blocking every day at the same time to be doing something for your health and active, like in an activity sense, and maybe 2 to 3 of those days, like it says here, is supposed to be related to the number of sessions of like full body kind of resistance splits, which is I think
Yeah.
great. And the other things is just increasing overall activity so that the deficit's a little bit easier to kind of navigate and manage. So in terms of its actual like again, it's maybe counting the brisk walking and the movement as part of exercise. Again, I would, again, like just that maybe the semantics and the verbiage there a
Yeah.
little bit
Can you go
different.
down a little bit more? Okay. So one thing I would say is this is not truly tailored and personalized because if you understood the psychology of the person, not even the psychology, but the schedule, their kids go to practice for soccer and stuff like that.
Mm.
That could have been a time right there. It said, hey, for this walking, you might be able to use the time that your kids are playing to walk around the field and watch them.
Hmm.
Mm,
It's a great time. I mean, I actually love the fact that my kids have like activities they have to go do, right? I can choose whether or not like I'm again walking around the field but watching my son practice, or sometimes I'll take my laptop with me and I have to knock out a few, client things or whatever. But again, like you ultimately get to dictate what you're doing in that time.
Yeah.
A lot of the other parents that are around, and I mean, again, they're like actively watching their kids, and I love it. But I mean, a
You
lot of
can have it
times you can
stacked.
have,
You can have
yeah,
it stacked.
there's days when I do just like chill, we're talking, we're just and watching the kids like perform. But like honestly, when it comes to like some of the drill stuff, I'm like, I want to see them like play the game. I want to see them like get to like the scrimmaging part of it. So if I'm walking around in the beginning and then I see them kind of, end of practice kind of scrimmage, or if, again, like maybe the whole day scrimmaging, I might take that time to be a little more invested in like what he's doing.
Yeah.
And again, like
Yeah.
that's, kind of hard to tell a computer what that feels like and how
Yeah,
to
no,
navigate that.
exactly. Well, I mean, that's also the beauty of like being a coach and seeing like where again, kind of illuminating the light on some opportunities that like, hey, maybe it is just a practice where they're just doing drills and you don't need to be so in tune. And maybe there are days where you're like you got to be engaged. It's like, okay, cool. We could just start tailoring it. And I think that's the beauty of being a coach. We think a little bit differently than um, everybody else because we're looking at it objectively.
Yeah. And so then we get into this kind of like laying out the expectations and the progress and likely scenario 4 to 6 pounds lost. There could also likely be no pounds lost if we did get training in there and we get a recomposition. Because although the goal started with 25 pounds lost, we know that over that first month that the visuals, right, and those different things. And again, like, did it even talk about that he wanted to train for this avatar? Okay. Oh, improve
Uh,
overall fitness and stamina. There it is in the
yeah.
motivations, right? Fits busy schedule with requiring complex meal. Mm-hmm. All right, perfect. So he did want that. So again, like if that's the case too, like that's another thing to lean into, right? For his particular scenario, right? So again, like, again, we could, if this was again in the umbrella statement of the 25 pounds lost, right?
Yeah.
This is what this is referring to. But I mean, also this is where we might just also discuss with the person and like, hey, quote, results will vary based on your compliance with training, and you might feel really good, and then you then you immediately kind of change the script, right? So this is,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's where you have to almost reevaluate kind of the goal on a month to month
I know.
basis.
Honestly, I know you said something like about this about last week where you just have like a running portfolio on an avatar, right? And you just after a check-in call, just put in the new notes and then it'll kind of reassess the thing, right?
Yeah,
And I think that's the beauty of like
yeah.
our
This
jobs.
this is now
It's
supposed
yeah.
to be your Evernote.
Yeah, exactly. I think like that because it's like I just have this running script that's going on, but I'm getting help from the second brain there that is allowing me to optimize like just what like my response to that person would be because it's like now it knows everything about that person because it might pull something, for example, and this is something that I'm the worst at sometimes. I don't know if you get this, Marcos, but like it has the notes that you transcribed from your Zoom call or call, put it on there, and then you miss something and you're like, oh wait, I forgot that they were going on vacation or something. I should have known that, and it would be able to like tell you, hey, by the way, they're going on vacation, so change the plan a little bit.
Right. And again, like in the context of like month one, we're here, month two, we're there, best case scenario, what might happen here, focus on this, small wins, right? Workout slip due to time constraints. Like all these things I think are kind of spelling out a lot of great realistic things that can likely happen, right? And again, the likely scenario is again, we'll be more than halfway to the goal within the first 3 months, if not pretty much. Yeah.
Pretty much there, yeah, yeah. But let's keep going. Let's see what else it says after this. Conclusions, action steps for off days. I like that. Plan quick meals, focus on protein. Short workouts, practice mindful eating. I love that. That's some good.
Yeah,
Those are actually some of the best that I've ever worked on.
yeah. I mean, I love it because quote unquote off days. I think this is also not saying like workout off days, right? But like maybe we're like having an off day,
We're
right?
having
Like
an off day,
an
like we
off
feel
day.
weird. Yeah, slept bad, something.
Yeah, like oh man, like I'm just stressed out. I can't do this, all that stuff. And
I like
Yeah.
that first one. Like PN talks about this, like having healthy options on hand. What's Berardi's first law? If a food is
Any,
within an then you'll soon be eaten, right?
yeah, anything that can be eaten will be eaten.
So
Um,
yeah, it's true. Have that like at work, if work is the most triggering place for you, um, and you have to have a snack, do you have your work pantry filled with like good snacks instead of like reaching into the quote unquote bad snacks, right? So I think priming yourself to win at your goal, right? I think that was really great.
yeah. And I kind of actually like this, the way that it's kind of like we thought about like the 90-day goal kind of for and with the client in a sense. Like, um, here's what it looks like month 1, 2, 3. Here's how we can kind of gauge it. Here's like things that can kind of help with like progress. And also, I think like stepping into those months or like the phases and actually spelling that out so people can see that visually, like it kind of did that. And I kind of like that. I think I might need to kind of
I need to do that more
do that a
often
bit
because,
more.
yeah, I think sometimes I don't have a set of clear expectations and goals with clients. Like, oh, yeah, we'll do fine. But, like, hey, this first month, boom, second month, like this. But, be ready to kind of be, yeah, open to other, off days or things like that. I think that's great, the expectations and breaking down. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was really great, man. That was a great practice. What is it again? So, goal,
Goal,
format,
yeah, like format of the return, how you want it, like how you want the information to be displayed to you, right?
okay, warnings.
Warnings, right? Things that you think can likely go wrong, in
Yeah,
terms of how it will factor, how it might like bias particular things or things you don't want it to bias,
yeah.
and then the last section is like context, like to give even more clear expectations of what you want the bits and pieces to look like, because if you do that all ahead of time, like the model, and again, this is like O1, again, different ones might have different things that help it get curated better.
Yeah.
It's going to think about, those things and create that kind of scenario a little bit better. So I did it. Oh man, I shouldn't have not shared my screen. I should have not stopped sharing it because I can share the other thing that we did. So we're starting, one of these guys in our community page, Seamus, wanted to start a ruck club.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, all right, let's just do it, And the guy like posted it, got amazing engagement, and I was like, I'm just gonna create the group, you know what I mean? And like me and Josh went out for a ruck, and
Mhm.
you know, we're I'm like, let's just get everybody that was on that thread into the group, and then let's just start showing up and like doing stuff. Everybody might have different days they get together, totally fine, right? But I'm like, this has like been there for over 6 weeks. People have been asking for it. Corey, if you hear this, man, I'm gonna like said in this episode, Corey, if you hear this, man, here's what ChatGPT did for me to help me try to create the
Yo,
confines
first
of
off,
the.
I'm kind of jealous because, like, damn, I'd just be walking with my dog. Come out there, dude.
Yeah, and I'd like it. It actually spurred on some other ideas. I'll talk about it later, not to like just so we don't run, beyond like 45. But I gave it the same thing. I'm creating a rup club in my local community. Focus is to create these events. There might be a few different days of the week and times, but ultimately is to create a networking hub and a fitness hub for the neighborhood, and with posts that can help get people engaged. I'm looking to use Facebook groups since the neighborhood page is already there, and we want to gain people from there into the new group page, right? I want to write out the details of this group to help people learning about rucking, right?
Mhm.
And you have to come up with the details that I should post so people can understand why and what they are joining. Return all the particulars that I can post to the group page, but try and gear this towards gaining interest in the page for the people of all fitness levels. For context,
Mm.
I want to use this page to be help with promoting health and wellness. I also want it to be a networking hub in the future. I want to be able to get the people to join in on the activity that is not only health promoting, but also from an activity standpoint. There's also, because this also helps with like bone density and other markers of health and strength, right? And then it went into like, what is rucking? Here's the introduction of it, the details, why join it, what you'll find, right? How to get started with it,
Yeah.
safety and courtesy reminders, and get it moving. And then I was starting to try to make a logo, and that's where GPT was like, blah, 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 blah. And then I had to go to another channel and took
Create it.
those. Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, that's pretty sick, though. That's no lie. That's pretty sick.
I liked this one the best because it was like actually pretty similar to it. I dropped in
That's actually not bad.
I know,
That's
right?
actually not bad. What the hell?
Well, we have to remember. So I went into uh look at what I said, what I did there. So again, just trying to like get ideas for this logo.
Dude,
I
you
was
know
like,
what you need to do is come out of Chat GPT, take that image, and then use use like other ones like Dolly, but then also like
this was through Dolly. I went to
okay,
I
you
went
could
to
also
I went to
use
the Dolly channel.
anthropomorphic or even some other ones I was playing with like Gamma, and they're supposed to be for like different things for like lecture slides, but like they got some good art in there too. So I don't know. We'll play with this a little bit, but
Canva
that's
does too, and I'm like trying to
oh
play with it. So I just want something that's like, hey, again, like, can we take this hummingbird
bird.
and this, or just take this and then slap a dude that's rucking on top of it? But of course, like, I don't know, it starts
Dude, it's
hallucinating,
so
and
easy.
it.
Like it's so cool because it's like for us non-creative types, like we're not necessarily the creative type like for like the art and stuff. I'm like, I like this
Oof.
image. I like this image. Can you blend it? Like it just
Yeah,
I don't
that's
got
like
time.
I want a dude wearing a backpack that's walking up a mountain, but I want the mountain to then also be like in the background. Like it is exactly that. It's really cool to like kind of think like this is what I'm envisioning, and then it's like how would I like prompt it, and then it creates something, and you're like try again. And I felt like I was in CSI. I was like enhance, enhance, enhance. I literally asked it. It's like just I was like I want this. I was like just cut out. I was like cut this part out, and it couldn't do it. It like recreated a whole new image, and I was like, Jesus. Okay, well,
Yeah.
shortcomings. I mean, granted, we've been using stuff like this. Literally, it'd be like basically our podcast could literally be the arc of AI because it was like this thing is on the precipice and people are cheating on their
We've been doing this
college
since the beginning of the
exams,
year. Yeah.
you know. But and then it's what it's morphed into like as of now with all the episodes we've done. Like think about it when it was in his infancy stages. Do you remember when Rudy would be like asking politely on like when we were in our like forum calls?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
could you please? And now it's just like, this is what I'm doing. Like, give it to me.
Yeah, give it to me. I still say please and thank you, just in case the world takes over, AI takes over, and it's like, oh, that guy used to say please and thank you. He's good. I do want to preface. I know we need to end this episode, but two things for the audience, for those that are listening. Thank you so much for our audience and listeners. If you haven't, make sure to follow and subscribe. We maybe I see we're getting influx of people coming in.
Mm.
We are doing basically a portion of the podcast over the next few months, few weeks on artificial intelligence and genetics. And like those are the two things that make up human in the world right now. Like your
Yeah.
genetic profile and then like your artificial and then wrapping those two together is like the hot stuff. So apologies in advance that like this is where we're going right now. We're still getting other guests, people, like whether it be on different topics. We're still
We'll
talking
probably have
about
to
those things.
splice them in between since we do have such a
Yeah.
like loaded calendar. But
Yeah.
yeah, again, we go off of things that are very trendy in the marketplace, especially in the field of longevity. And Seamus was just a speaker at the Integrative Health Symposium. Is that what it was?
Yeah, Integrated Health Symposium, the 20th. I was the speaker, talked about the ethics of artificial intelligence, and I can't wait to upload the conversation here because it's being sent out. So
Nice, nice. And again, like, so we know this is like moving a lot of things, a lot of interest in these topics, and we get to actually have a lot of people on the forefront of it. And just again, like, get some good conversation. So yeah, it might be a little bit far in the weeds, and like then I'll ask the question like, why should I freaking care? Like, because that's kind of my mindset with a lot of things. Like, these things are cool, but like, why does it matter? Like, yeah, I have a 1% chance of potentially developing. I have a 99, like, again, 99 to 1. You know what I mean? Like, not majoring in the minors and things like that. But it's cool because maybe it is like understanding healing better, or inflammatory protocols better. And I don't know what the future would hold.
I will say like some of the companies that I've been seeing out here that are super smart. I'm gonna shout them out. Hopefully they're cool with it. But Jonah Health is a gut microbiome company that utilizes artificial intelligence to make a clone of you. So all the foods that you eat, everything that you do, it makes a clone of you on different foods and different dieting lifestyles to then give you like what actually would be best for you in your current scenario or like to take away because this is how these things react. And it's like, holy shit, how did they map the gut like that or anything like that against foods and ingredients? And it's like, that just sounds insane.
This is no different to thinking about like investing in like your retirement accounts, right? Like at first it feels like you're doing something linearly because you kind of are, but then the compounding, once it starts to really hit, it's growing exponentially. And that's the rate of growth with a lot of these technologies is like
Yeah.
exponential, right? The fact that I could create
A
four
simulated version of you.
well, yeah, but the fact that I could create 4 paragraphs, then literally spell out all these details, and it doesn't run into like a character limit or things that the previous versions did, and then also like create an avatar, then like create a plan for that avatar. Like think about like all the things that like has happened and all the pieces of information that this thing has had to, that things have to pull together. So if there's one, I mean, we had one like the well, we're releasing that episode in 2 weeks, the gut health expert, right? That built
Yeah.
their particular thing. That was Dasha, correct?
Shout
And
out
and
to.
and and same thing was like, yeah, she's like, I built this so other people could just ask the question to the thing, as part of like their certification, so that they can become, they become better practitioners because they have this tool in their back pocket. Hey, like you literally can make sure you're giving more guided, informed things based off of that. And like you just said, that Jonah AI or Jonah.health, or and then all these, yeah, the future is going to be crazy when it comes to this. But at the same time, distilling information and talking about it, and hopefully continuing to, like you said, like our thanks to our audience and people that have been listening more regularly. And yeah, we honestly like drop a comment, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube for us. We would really appreciate it. And things that you're questioning or have interests of, while we have Seamus rubbed elbows with a lot of people in epigenetics and genetics here recently, doesn't mean that we wouldn't go out of our way to try to like ask so and so, like in any endeavor of health, and we'll try to get them on. And Seamus has a pretty good rate of return. His ROI for just asking a question is like, hey, can you give us an hour of your time?
Yeah, and don't worry, it's not all just genetics. We got some AI too, but also there's mindset, like high performance mindset people, or like people that are talking about like mental health. Like they're in the calendar. It's just that we
we'll
just want to make sure you guys are ready for what else is out there.
we'll splice it. We'll make sure that like, hey, like we're just to not get people bombarded with the same topic
Yeah.
over and over again.
Well,
We'll make sure to let people know. So
yeah. We found a flow, guys. I really appreciate it. Our calendar's like locked up. We're having so many guests. It's never been better for our content. So thank you guys.
all right, well, click this link over here, there. I don't know where they all are. We'll see you next time. Until next time, Macro Perspective peeps, we are out.